Hello, hello, and welcome back to another week of Conference One. I am Jacob Brothers, and joined with me, as always, is the man who knows literally everything. It is Dane. Dane, how you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing fantastic. And the stakes are here, and they are high.
This is what we've been waiting for. It's the regional qualifiers. It's happened. Each regional division, the top 4 teams have gone on to play in a single Elim tournament where the top 2 will go on to play in the national championships. We have an East bracket, we have a Central bracket, and we have a West bracket, and we're breaking them down for you here today.
Let's start with the East and work our way.
All right, let's start with the East, because East is a good place to start also because the games have already begun. They started last night. There was maybe an upset, maybe not on paper, but in my heart. Miami played Vespa round 1, and Vespa, Virginia Tech, defeated Miami. Miami's been struggling really hard so far with this new sort of meta, especially with adapting to the teamwork meta, I'm going to call it, as these teams get better and better, and they learn how to play as a unit. Miami's kind of struggling with it. They got a lot of great individual players, but like once they have to put it all together, that's where they sort of fall. They dropped the game to UW Gold and Army West Point during the split, which they did not drop to during split 1. And they have been eliminated already. Unfortunate for them. Also playing, let's see, we had Rutgers versus Ryerson. That game didn't happen. Are You Shorty Kings forfeited? I don't know why. I don't know the surrounding there, but even if they didn't...
They forfeited in the playoffs?
Yeah, they did. I don't know. They've had some weird forfeits. They've had some
weird...
That
sounds like a questionable strategy.
Yeah, and it could have been maybe somebody had finals at that time or something, and they couldn't find a replacement player. I mean, it is college, so stuff like that happens. Either way, I think Rutgers probably would have won for my money. Best team in the East for their money as well. They're not afraid to brag about it. But we also had ONU versus Army WP. ONU beat Army West Point. That's an upset to me as well. ONU has been like a sort of like a middle of the pack player in East Group 2. They're not as good as Virginia Tech. They're not as good as Rutgers. And that might be the indicator that maybe East Group 2 is the stronger division. I'm sorry, East Group 1 with the Rutgers League is just like the stronger division as a whole. Because UW Gold beating the Ospreys, they're the only team from East Group 2 to make it out of round 1.
Oh, yeah. That's a rough look.
Yeah, not good for East Group 2.
Here's my question, hearing what you just said. So West Army Point's kind of being the... Wait, did you say West Army Point was being the surprise team? They upset people?
They upset Miami in the bracket, yeah, and then they lost to ONU.
I was going to ask if they had surprise potential, but ignore me. Continue.
Not anymore, they don't. Maybe they did. They could have been somebody's Hail Mary pick, but they would have lost. And then UW beats ONU, like I said, and that's the East. So right now, next round in the semifinals, we have Rutgers versus ONU and UW Gold versus Vespa. For my money, I'm going to throw it out here because I'm always right, and I just got to get the hard reads in. For my money, Rutgers beats ONU. Vespa beats UW Gold. East Division 1 is the strongest division. Rutgers beats Vespa. Rutgers goes on. Rutgers and Vespa both go on to the grand finals. So
what I'm hearing is that Rutgers is going to win because East is the best division, and it's already their division.
Yeah, exactly. They are, as of last week, we'll talk about this later, they are the only team to go completely undefeated.
Which, that goes well for some teams, but we also see a lot of teams where it's like, oh, they don't drop a single map in the bracket, and they just get washed in the finals. So, we never know what's going to happen.
Yeah, they can't get those wax wings and fly too close to the sun, and they are definitely confident. But we'll see. We'll see what happens. We'll see.
Right.
Let's move on to Central here. We had DePaul versus Western U, OSU versus Seneca, UHP versus SSU, Tama versus Longhorn. Those are the matches we got lined up. To break them down further here, DePaul finally beat TAMU 2 weeks ago to be the number 1 seed in this bracket. And that's a huge win because that's the difference between playing Western, the last seed, and Longhorn, which is the 3rd seed. So that's a huge win for DePaul, and they've got to be very happy about that.
So does that make TAMU the number 2 seed then?
Yeah, well, that makes TAMU the number 2 seed coming out of that region. Okay. So I think maybe the number 3 seed overall, and then it would be OSU, because OSU finally beat UHP last week, which is the first time UHP has been beaten all conference, but isn't that big of an upset because OSU and UHP have played a lot and they go back and forth every time. That makes OSU number 1 seed for Central Division 2.
Got it.
Yep, and that leaves them to play Seneca. OSU playing Seneca, that's a weird matchup because I'm surprised Seneca's there at all. There was a 3-way tie for last place in Central Group 1 between UKY, UT, and Seneca. I'm not sure exactly why Seneca got the nod, got to go in and play in the bracket. It might be because they won the head-to-head versus UK, and Dallas forfeits a lot, so maybe they went by game count or something like that. But either way, Seneca's playing against Oregon State.
And Seneca's going to have to do some work to beat Oregon State.
Yeah, Oregon State's a really good team. And Seneca has been struggling, to say the least.
Three-way tie, 1-4, you know.
Yeah, if you're a betting man, definitely put your money on OSU, which I am, and I did. So follow suit if you want to win. Speaking of if you want to win, you got UHP versus SLU. SLU has been third place. They've made that their comfy home. They've only lost to DePaul and TAMU, and I think UHP is going to take it because they're very good, and they've only lost one game the entire time. But for my money, this will be the indicator of which division is stronger. Is Central Group 2 or Central Group 1 the stronger group? And maybe TAMU and DePaul have just been like shoving everybody down from where they rightfully should be in their division. If SLU wins, then you can like confidently say that Central Group 2 or Central Group 1 is just the stronger Central Division, and TAMU is probably going to take the dub.
Yeah, and out of the early rounds here, it feels like this is probably one of the more exciting games that's going to be happening. Because I mean, you have a team who lost one game in their entire conference, and the other one's only third place because of DePaul and TAMU. Mm-hmm. So I feel like both of those teams have a relatively equal chance of making it over the hump. Mm-hmm. So I think if there's a game to watch, that might be the one to watch for Central.
I definitely agree. I'm watching it. I'm there with my popcorn. That's my money. So that's Central Group. I'm just going to throw out my predictions because they're good. DePaul beats Western. Houston does beat St. Louis. Houston beats DePaul. Houston plays Texas A&M in the final, who Texas beats Oregon State, who beats Seneca. Those are my predictions. Winner.
There you go.
TAMU. TAMU's winning that one.
TAMU's division yet again. Mm-hmm. So what does your crystal ball say about the West?
Okay, so the West is interesting because there was no second division to fuel in here. So we're not getting any new matchups. On one hand, not as exciting. But on the other hand, the rematches are very exciting. So tomato, like depends on how you look at it. You got the UCI versus the Golden Bears. And UCI I want to talk about real quick because they're quickly becoming one of my favorite teams. They've accepted, they to me embody the spirit of like Valorant, which is just this like open playbook at this point in time. And they really just take advantage of all the crazy stuff you can do when the meta is just so underdeveloped. For example, the last time they played Cal Golden Bears, which was 2 weeks ago or maybe last week, they hit them with the 5 duelist composition. Which you think, that's got to be bad, right? They steamrolled. They ran them over. There was like nothing.
Just shoot at the opponent.
Yeah, you just run at them. It was like even on defense, it was like we just run at them. Like we'll catch up if they get on our base and we're not there. We'll they just kept going around in circles a million miles an hour. It was super exciting to watch. And these guys, in every post game interview, they're like, "What was your game plan?" And they're like, "Oh, to have fun." And they just keep winning that way, which is great. And I think they're going to beat Cal Bears again, but I think they're going to start running into problems here pretty soon.
Well, really, if I'm UCI. I'm going to take playoffs pretty seriously because I feel like in the grand scheme of esports, UCI has been this big school who hasn't really done anything significant since like maybe 2018. Maybe I'm forgetting a random, invitational. But if UCI is going to make a mark, this is probably the game to do it in. And it looks like it's going that way. So hopefully they can bring that momentum all the way to the finals.
Hopefully. They haven't dropped the game this split, which is a big difference from last split where they got like 3rd or 4th. So they've turned something around. Maybe this like having fun mentality is the way to go for them. Maybe that's how they play their best. And if they start taking it too seriously, maybe they'll get tilted again and it might not work out for them. It's a delicate balance that you got to find. And I hope it works out for them because I'm loving them. I'm loving them to death. But going on below them, you have Cal Poly, Polynomia, Cal Poly. I'm going to call him Cal Poly versus San Jose State. San Jose State is an absolute titan in Valorant. And UCI beating them was kind of like a huge upset at the time. And then UCI went on to like destroy the division. So then it turned out not to be that upset. But I think SJSU is really mad about it. And they want to get the rematch. So I think they're going to try really hard. But Cal Poly is a middle of the packer who's like super good at swinging up. when they
Oh,
play,
okay.
yeah, when they play better teams, they take rounds still. They get close.
So you've talked about my two favorite things in sports, which are revenge games and a team swinging up.
Yeah.
So the West is already starting to look like my favorite division in this playoff bracket.
And to that credit, a lot of people's also favorite division, they think it's the best division. They think. We'll see once we get to the grand finals and everybody plays everybody. And maybe Tamu just washes. Who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? But as of right now, Cal Poly versus SJSU is going to be the game to watch in the West Division because anything could happen. Personally, I think SJSU wins. And I think they go on to play UCI. And I think they beat them there again. I think SJSU is mad. I think they're going to do
You think they get the revenge game and that they win the revenge game?
I think they win the revenge game.
That's good stuff.
If UCI can't find that delicate balance of having fun and taking it seriously enough, that perfect medium, then which is a hard medium to find, SJSU is going to win.
And you know, the more you talk about Conference 1, the more I hear you talk about Conference 1, the more exciting it gets. All these teams have their personalities. All the matchups are making sense. The sauce is there. The like healthy toxicity is there, not the bad kind, you know, like the good smack talk. And so if you want to watch it, these matches are going on. And Dane, thank you for another great recap. And I personally cannot wait to see where this goes.